Hey everyone, I'm so excited to share our podcast has been nominated in Boise Weekly's annual Best of Boise contest. And while it's an honor to be nominated, I have to admit, it would be even more fun to win. If we've helped you connect to the city you love, go to the link in the show notes to vote for us by May 23rd. Thanks, Boise. Happy Friday. Today on CityCast Boise, we're talking political attack ads, figuring out why new grads want to move here, and speculating about the flock of new chicken restaurants in Meridian. Plus, stick around to find out how you can hear one of my most embarrassing stories. It's Friday, May 17th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Joining me today is Frankie Barnhill. Thanks for being here, Frankie.
Hey, we made it to another Friday. How's it going, Lindsay?
Pretty good. Weather's nice. It's looking like a beautiful weekend.
It is. And of course, we have plenty of news to talk about before we get into the weekend.
Something I definitely wanted to talk about, since it's going to be the primaries on Tuesday, but early voting has been going on for 2 weeks now, is something that we don't usually see in Idaho, which is attack ads. And, different mailers and flyers and door hangers that have been going around all over the Treasure Valley against candidates running. And not only have they been attack ads, but it seems to be from a group out of state, which is kind of unusual. Did you see the news about this?
Yeah, KTVB did this great piece talking about, this out-of-state political action committee called Young Americans for Liberty, and they have this subsidiary that is sending mailers, specifically targeting some very conservative, so they're targeting Republicans. So it's a very conservative PAC that's targeting very conservative Republicans, which is kind of unusual because you would think that a PAC that generally aligns politically wouldn't necessarily be attacking these, I think by all accounts, incredibly conservative lawmakers in the Idaho legislature.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. They are both really conservative, but the Young Americans for Liberty particularly considers themselves very libertarian. Mm-hmm. And so that seems to be kind of the line that they're breaking down, is that the legislators that they're, paying for these ads against are incredibly conservative, some of the most conservative legislators in our state, but maybe pass laws that Young Americans for Liberty doesn't feel are libertarian or libertarian enough.
Yeah, not libertarian enough. Okay, that's a good point. And I think that's what we've been seeing. Specifically, we've seen mailers. The KTVB article talked about Representative Julianne Young from Blackfoot, and that there was a mailer that sent about her that said that she allows porn in Idaho libraries, even though she's been incredibly supportive vocally and has voted for the various versions of the library porn bill that we've seen over the last several years, and of course actually passed this session. So and she of course was not happy about these mailers. And then of course, Mike Moyle, too, being a very conservative Speaker of the House, they targeted him too, apparently.
Yeah, they actually targeted my representatives also, which I think is interesting because the two representatives of mine that they targeted, conservatives have really gone after these representatives and called them rhinos.
Sure.
But so they went after, like, my representatives are Tregburnt and Petsky, and they had this whole door hanger, and they titled it Public Safety Action Alert, Illegal Invasion in Idaho.
Oh,
so really hitting some of those dog whistles. But they accused Treg and Petsky of shielding Biden from accountability, disarming law-abiding citizens, and allowing, I'm just quoting the pamphlet.
I love that
here.
You're reading off of it right now.
Well, I knew this was going to be in part. I was like, I'm going to hold on to this. This might come back. Yeah. And it did. Quote, allowing illegals to be armed and dangerous. Yeah. So, just a lot of dog whistles in that one. And so I just think that's really interesting because they targeted very conservative people like Mike Moyle and Julianne Young, but then also people that the conservatives have been claiming aren't as conservative. I would say my representatives are pretty conservative, pretty over here in Meridian. They all seem to be pretty conservative. So I just think it's a very interesting strategy, who they're going for and what they're saying about them.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess, this is what happens in a supermajority state where the Republicans obviously dominate it and dominate the legislature. And so then you're seeing these fractures. And we've talked for several years about like the more moderate Republicans versus the far right. And now it's like even like the Overton window has shifted even more. And now it's like the far, far, far right and like very libertarian maybe, or I don't know. And then maybe some different nuances there mixed with super, super conservative that like definitely would not be considered moderate Republicans. Even within them, they're now fighting and having these fractures and rifts.
Yeah. And I wanted to make a note just in case you got a mailer or you see a mailer. The group that it says, it ultimately was from Young Americans for Liberty, but the group says that it will be paid by Make Liberty Win. So that's how you know if you're getting these mailers or door hangers or notices, that's the group that is paying for this. And we just had a conversation with Daniel Walters yesterday about what was going on with that secret recording. And something that was brought up that Maria Nate, a lobbyist, had said is that Young Americans for Liberty were going to spend $1.1 million in this state. And it looks like this is what they were planning on spending the money on.
Yeah, I suppose we're seeing what they meant to do with that 1.1 million. Yeah, Daniel Walters, of course, reporter from Investigate West. You had a great conversation with him Thursday. Definitely encourage anybody to go back and listen to that. It was a bombshell report about a secret recording at the Capitol between a far-right lawmaker, Representative Heather Scott from North Idaho, and as you said, Maria Nate, head of the State Freedom Caucus Network, and really displayed, again, these kind of rifts even within very, very conservative far-right circles within Idaho.
Yeah. And it's, I think a little bit in Idaho, it's not been perfect. There have been attack ads, but I think that's something we're not entirely used to.
Yeah.
That there's some, but those don't seem to play as well in Idaho. So I just think it's very interesting that an outside group decided to go with that tactic. And I'm very curious to see if it will impact elections or if it will impact voters. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. Yeah, like just in terms of the strategy of do Idahoans like this? Do they like to have these kind of mailers sent to them? I'm not sure. I do. I think I feel what you're saying about it might not be the best strategy, especially when you're just, choosing between very conservative to what's the alternative, another extra conservative. I suppose maybe the strategy is if they, throw a bucket of chum in the water and, kind of muddle things up, that maybe down the road there could be even more conservative, like truly, libertarian candidates, more and more of them that are really what a group like this would like to see elected. But to see an outside political action committee so invested in attacking Republicans in Idaho that are already in power, that are largely probably in alignment, generally speaking, with their aims. It's just, it's fascinating. And you're right, not something we're used to.
I guess we'll see how this plays out with Idaho voters and if they're receptive to this kind of messaging. I definitely want to remind everyone today is the last day for early voting for the primary. And then the primary is Tuesday, May 21st. So everybody mark your calendar if you're not planning on early voting so you can make sure and show up to the polls that day.
At Evernorth Health Services, we believe costs shouldn't get in the way of life-changing care, and we're doing everything in our power to make it possible. Behavioral health solutions that also keep your projections at their best? It's possible. Pharmacy benefits that benefit your bottom line? It's possible. Complex specialty care that cares about your ROI? It's possible. Because we're already doing it. All while saving businesses billions. That's Wonder made possible. Learn more at evernorth.com/wonder.
Frankie, I've got some surprising news that
Okay.
I definitely wouldn't have guessed. So this is a report coming out of, being reported by Axios, but the data comes from Handshake. And they're saying that Boise is one of the most popular places for new college grads to apply for jobs.
Yeah. Welcome to the class of 2024. Congrats, everyone. And I guess welcome to Boise, or welcome to applying for jobs in Boise. Yeah, I thought this was interesting. We came in like fifth, I guess. Salt Lake came in right ahead of us. So another Western city that came in at the very top. It was New York City, which I suppose we shouldn't be surprised by. Lots of young people want to move to New York, and then Boise on that list as well. So yeah, kind of fascinating. I mean, I don't know. I wonder what all the reasons why. I mean, the report kind of mentioned like obviously job outlook and some other elements of the economy in Boise. Did it surprise you to see us on this list as one of the most popular?
Absolutely. I definitely don't necessarily get that feel. It kind of, the vibe I've gotten from different people I know who are in college or recently graduated. And, I'm definitely, that's a self-selected group of people I talk to. But it seems like a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to get out of Idaho. I'm going to go somewhere else. Both for like income reasons and cost of living reasons, because it doesn't feel as cost effective for them to stay here. I thought it was really interesting in the report. One of the main things that people were looking for was stability.
Yeah.
They don't define that exactly. So
right. I think it's an arbitrary term, whatever that means.
Yeah, whatever stability means. But that they were also, lots of people were looking for jobs in the tech sector. So that could be really what pulls Idaho forward, pulls Boise up on this list, is there are a good amount of tech jobs. And, with things like Micron, we have a lot of these jobs that people are looking for.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And, the class of 2024 being a class that graduated high school. If they graduated in 4 years from college, they graduated high school in 2020 during the pandemic at the very beginning, and everything was unstable at that point, and have had so many tumultuous things occur the last 4 years and disruptions. And so I can imagine why stability would be something that this cohort and this group of young people would really value. The fact that they're finding stability or thinking that they could find stability in Boise is interesting. I mean, I did do a little digging in some data just to remind folks. So our latest data in 2023, wages did grow in Idaho overall and in Boise by the most. So percentage-wise, Boise wages grew by over 10% in 2023. So
wow.
That's a point in Boise's favor. Rent also did go down in 2023. It was actually one of the largest declines in the country, but we were starting at such a high point that keeping that in mind, like what does that really mean and how does that actually play out? Idaho has a historically low unemployment rate, continues to have a lower unemployment rate than the national average, and that includes Boise. But I found this info on the City of Boise's website, and they have these income guidelines connected to the cost of renting specifically, and like basically making sure that, what would it cost? What would be an affordable rate to pay given a given salary?
Yeah.
And I found this is interesting. So if you are a single person, you need to to be paying at market rate. So normal rent that you'd find on Zillow or Apartment Finder or whatever. You need to make almost $70,000 to afford a one bedroom that's the normal cost, the market rate is $1,728 for a one bedroom. I'm thinking about I don't know. You were a nurse, so entry level nurse. I'd be curious what you made. But
because I entered nursing summer 2020, and my first offer was for $27.80 an hour.
Okay. And making that over, let me do the quick math.
36 hours a week.
Times 36 times 52. Doing math live real fast.
It's going to be real bad.
That's like 50,000. So,
yeah.
a starting salary for an entry-level nurse, the example that you just gave, would not be able to afford it if they wanted to live by themselves, if they're a single person wanting to live by themselves. Same thing for Boise area teachers, both Boise District, which pays some of the best salaries in the state, as well as, of course, other districts in the Treasure Valley that don't pay quite as well, also couldn't afford to live alone. So it definitely seems like if you're part of the 2024 class and you're interested in moving to Boise, you're probably going to need roommates unless you are getting one of those maybe higher paying tech jobs.
I was going to say, maybe it's the crowd that is getting those higher paying jobs out of college, and so this seems affordable. It does seem affordable, or like they can manage that more than New York City.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, our grocery costs are cheaper than a lot of other places. There are things that make Boise a more affordable place than plenty of other cities. It's just that we've seen such a rapid change. Like when I moved in 2011, late 2011, and moved in with roommates in a great little cute house in the North End, my rent was incredibly cheap, and things were just more affordable in general. It felt like you could have that existence in your 20s that is the like ideal of getting to experience the town, not needing to be super stressed about money. I mean, sure, I was broke.
Yeah, you don't have a lot, but you're fine. But
I made it work. I had a restaurant jobs and stuff while I was trying to break into journalism and nannying jobs and stuff, and it penciled out in the end. And I just wonder. I feel like young people now, they're having to get like right into, and whatever. I graduated during the Great Recession, so the employment was an issue, and there weren't many journalism jobs.
Yeah.
But so at least the unemployment rate is better for this cohort, but the cost of living in Boise definitely has increased, obviously, since that era.
Exactly. Well, and like you said, I feel like there was more of a margin. To kind of like, there was a little bit of a buffer where because everything was so much cheaper, that's okay if your starting job wasn't that much, or, you didn't, you could pick up a side job, a little extra something to get a little extra money, and you wouldn't be rich, but you'd be okay.
Yeah.
And I just feel bad because I think these college graduates don't really have that option. That margin isn't there anymore, where because everything is so expensive, those budgets are just so tight.
Yeah. And the city of Boise, of course, is focused under Mayor McLean in particular, but city council's invested in this of, bringing more affordable housing, making sure that Mayor McLean has been on our podcast talking about young people and how she wants young people to A, stick around, and B, move here, because she sees that as important to the future of the community. But the city trying to build more affordable housing and more housing at that, what's the 80% of median income level. And, it's just slow, though. It's slow going for all kinds of reasons. The city's, doing a fair job of trying to make it work. But we were in such a deficit without that, and things rapidly changed so quickly that it's definitely playing catch up when it comes to things like housing and having that rent be reasonable for a starting nurse or a starting teacher.
Yeah, hopefully with Mayor McLean's plans and that kind of being a focus, we can encourage more new grads to want to move here and set up roots. Because ultimately, that's to keep a city's vitality up, you do have to have a wide array of different people, and some of those are new college grads. And so I think this was, a little bit of interesting good news that was very unexpected to me about Boise, and maybe is an indicator that we do have things that we're doing to help encourage new grads to want to move here.
Yeah, and if they're hearing about us, I'm just curious, how are they hearing about us? How do they know? Assuming these are folks, who are moving to Boise that didn't go to Boise State, that aren't already in town. And I think just in general, I think Boise needs that youthful energy. That's where innovation happens. That's where, people are just, come together and build community. I think about things like the Backyard Artists, which is a group that our own Blake Hunter participates in. And we've had folks from that group on. And, they're just doing art, just making art literally in backyards. It's so cool. And the kind of thing that you should be doing in your 20s. And, I just hope that, I hope that, I don't know, when I moved in my 20s, there were so many opportunities and so many cool, quirky, underground or like, DIY things that were happening. And I think that is still happening in Boise. It's just about finding your community and hopefully making the budget work for you.
All right, Frankie, it's time once again for our top picks of the week. So what are your top picks this week?
Well, I'm still just basking in the glow of the fact that we have been nominated as Best Podcast in Boise for the Boise Weekly's annual Best of Boise contest.
I know, that was so exciting.
So fun. Yeah, we learned that recently, and we definitely are looking for people to vote for us. It takes a couple minutes to do so. We'll put a link in the show notes for how to vote for us. It's just exciting. It's exciting to be in the nominated category, and we really hope we win this year. So please help us out. I do love this time of year. The Boise Weekly has been doing their annual best of, I think the longest of any outlet around the state, or certainly around Boise. And it's just fun to like cruise around the different categories and see who's been nominated.
Yeah.
And like not like some of the nominees, and then also really I don't know. I was just looking back and, there's like best concert venue. I definitely voted for Treefort Music Hall. I will share my vote there. Best Bloody Mary, the option that I chose was Fork, but I would argue that actually Neurolux has the best Bloody Mary in town.
Were they not one of the options?
They were not one of the options.
Oh, that's surprising to me.
I know. I guess I should have nominated them. Neurolux was nominated in a different category. So they're represented for sure. There's like sports and rec. There's so many different categories. Honestly, it's kind of fun to cruise around.
Well, Frankie, I was thinking maybe we should spice things up a little bit and kind of give people some motivation to vote for us.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Besides just being nice to us and liking us. Yeah.
Like we love that, but maybe like a little like reward. I'm reward motivated. So I was thinking if we win, I will tell one of my top 3 most embarrassing stories on the podcast and then share it on Instagram.
Wow. Okay.
I've got some doozies. I have some real painful, embarrassing memories. So
I bet these would be like worthy of a stage. So the stage will be our podcast if people vote for us and we end up winning.
Yeah, if we end up winning, you can hear some really, truly, very embarrassing stories.
Are these like cringy, like Napoleon Dynamite-y kind of cringy stories? Or like how would you categorize them to give a tease?
Like I have one that still is like nightmare worthy that happened in high school.
Oh no.
So like still to this day, I'm like, oh, I hope nobody remembers that. That's going to come up someday, I'm sure.
Okay.
And then
you're going to bring it up. Maybe.
I will.
Yeah,
maybe I'll just say it
win.
and then everyone will know it because it's far enough away. I'm like, that is really funny. Just truly. It's like, it was a moment that would be in a movie and would be the embarrassing moment for like the main character in the movie or a character in the movie. So I got to live one of those. That was fun. But, lots of little embarrassing moments. So,
well, how generous of you to offer. And I think that's a great incentive. So go vote for us so we can hear Lindsay's embarrassing story. What about you? What is your kind of pick of the week?
So this is also kind of a teaser, but there was a story in Boise Dev about another Meridian chicken restaurant. But this week, they let us know it's different. This one's different, guys.
Different from all the rest.
Yeah. It's called Chicken Delight. And I was inspired by this article. So I have started the process of trying every chicken restaurant in Meridian.
That's a lot of chicken restaurants. Because you and I off mic, we've joked for a couple weeks now about like another Meridian chicken place. It just seems like they're popping up literally every time I open a new tab, there's a new chicken restaurant. And turn a corner in Meridian and there's another one.
Oh yeah. I like every time I'm driving almost anywhere, it's like grand opening, new chicken restaurant. That just like weekly that is happening. So I decided I'm going to try all of them, get some definitive lists going, the best, what you need to be hitting up so that, we've got to sort through all of the chicken noise to find the best chicken.
All right. Well, that's a great tease. RIP to your digestive system, or I hope you're handling it okay.
I'm pacing myself.
You're
it's
pacing
about
yourself.
pacing.
Okay, good. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for that conversation. We'll do that. We'll do that here soon. So stay tuned.
It'll be
for
great.
Chicken
Yeah,
news.
if you've been looking at the news and you're like, I just don't know what chicken restaurant to go to.
Which do I choose?
Which
from?
one do I go to? I've got you. Don't worry. We're going to have all the information you need.
Incredible.
Well, thank you so much, Frankie. I hope you have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks, Lindsay.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. The show is produced by Evelyn Avitia, Anthony Luciani, Frankie Barnhill, and me, Lindsay Van Allen. Blake Hunter is our Hey Boise newsletter editor. Natalie Rivera and Adrian Gonzalez helped write this week. And our music is by Up Is the Down Is the. If you enjoyed our show today, leave us a review. It helps other people find us. We'll be back on Monday with another great story from around the city. See you then.